Hello, hello. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. That feels weird to say. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Looks like a lot of folks have snow nearby, according to the chat comments coming in the morning. Um, yeah, welcome. If you have a question, drop your message in the chat. Starting with the letter Q. It makes it easier for me to spot on my screen here. Otherwise, we're going to just start chatting. Looks like I wonder if I can. Does my weather still work? Somewhere I have a little weather ticker. Let's see if this works. I think it might work. We'll get the little weather report from everywhere that you're tuning in from in the chat. If you've put your city in the chat, then you'll be on the rotation for the little weather ticker. Yeah, I saw lots of reports of snow around London. That's exciting. It looks like, although it's like Portland levels of snow, which means not very much, and everybody freaks out. No snow nearby to Bailey. Bailey is here very early in the morning from Australia. Always fun. What time is that? 4 a.m. in Sydney right now? That's early. Andre says, "Too bad I missed the New Year's Eve stream with the Lego build-up. That was a lot of fun. That was chaos. This was the Lego camera that my nephews got me for my birthday, and it was a lot of fun to build this live. Only a few mistakes. I had to do some extraction. Also got the custom photos put in to the film canister, which is really cute. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to do this again because that was a blast. And this is a 3-in-1 kit, so actually I can make 2 other things out of the same pieces, which is fun. We will have to do that. Mother Bee says it's summer in New Zealand. Yeah, it's upside down weather down there. Marcus says, thanks very much for your stream for the new year. Were you happy with the RØDECaster video, or do you prefer to stream with the ATEM? Great question. Yeah, so with the New Year's stream, I actually was streaming from the RØDECaster video itself, not from my ATEM, although I was only cheating a little bit because the inputs to the RØDECaster were actually my regular video routing on the desk here. So all of the ports here are going into the ATEM, and I can route different cameras out those ports, which plug into the RØDECaster. So I was streaming from the RØDECaster, but still routing my cameras the normal way. I didn't like unplug them because that would be kind of silly. So there's a couple of features that they are in the process of adding in the next update. I'm in the beta testers group, and I have the beta firmware on here. And there's a couple of features in here that actually make it much easier for me to do my actual stream with that. Now, am I going to switch my studio over to stream with the RØDECaster video? Probably not, just because my studio has a ton of stuff in here, as you can tell by the shot of this desk. But this is turning into a high likelihood that I'm going to replace Lily's studio kit upstairs with this because it's just simpler. Right now she's using the ATEM Mini Extreme. We have a HyperDeck up there for video clip playback. We've got an audio interface to get an XLR mic into 1/8 inch jack for the ATEM. What else? Of course, a Raspberry Pi with Companion, and that's actually becoming a lot less necessary with all the features they've been putting in the RØDECaster video. Probably still going to do it for her setup just because it's nicer to have fewer buttons even than this. So all of that is going to collapse down into this one piece of gear, which is great. So, I mean, is it really cheating? I pretty much always combine different systems when I stream. Cheating as in, it's not only using the RØDECaster video, and there are plenty of situations where that literally is the only piece of hardware you need. So the podcast studio I helped set up for Bike Portland in town, he's using the RØDECaster video now with 3 cameras, and that's it. So it's there's plenty of reasons, plenty of ways in which that is all you would need, and that's why I said it was cheating, because it wasn't exactly that demo. I am hoping to do some demos of just the RØDECaster video on streams on my channel, but I'm going to do them outside of this space so that I'm forced to actually only put that together. Clear Life Media says 9 a.m. is weird to watch this used to 11 a.m. Wait. Oh, are you? Oh, you're in Los Angeles now. Normally you're in, what is that, 2 time zones over? Axis says, is YoloBox Pro any good? Matt has a great point. The Pro is underpowered. I would go with the Ultra. Oops. You bought the Pro thinking it was 4K. It's not. I don't think they've ever mentioned that. The Ultra is definitely more powerful than the Pro, and I would go with the Ultra over the Pro at this point. We will see about the Extreme. I have not, David asked about the Extreme pricing. I have not seen any pricing yet for, oh wait, no. Didn't we see pricing for the Extreme? Now I can't remember. I thought I mentioned this last time. Have they put it on their site? Because I know they actually have it on their website now. The at least the product page is up. So that's so many HDMI ports. Oh, it just goes to the reseller page. Okay. I'm very curious what the pricing is going to be on that. Matt says no pricing yet, but soon. Okay. Happy New Year. I'm from India. YoloBox Pro battery required, not available in India. Are you trying to replace the battery? Because it's just, you normally don't need to deal with it unless it's worn out. I've never even looked for a battery in the US. I have no idea. I would email their support and see if they have any suggestions. Is there a weather cover for the YoloBox? Weather cover. I haven't seen like anything to make it like actually weatherproof. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what people have done with their kits. I haven't seen anything to actually make it work. I wouldn't trust it in the rain, that's for sure. IT Never Gets Old says, my guess is the YoloBox Extreme will be $2,000. I have no idea what to expect. I have no idea. I don't know what to expect. What are you doing? Says, once again, putting you in my ears for the ride home. Well, I'm happy to be in your ears. Okay, Fred has a question. I live stream from remote locations. When using a combination of wired and wireless, what's the best way to sync audio quickly using YoloBox Pro? Oh yeah, the my first recommendation is make it so that you don't need to. Make so you don't need to sync. So use your wireless shots for where the sync doesn't matter, like a really wide shot where you can't actually see people's lips or things like that. But if you can't do that, if you need to sync the audio in, the easiest way is to do it by ear. And what you can do is take your wireless transmitter with your camera and put it next to a wired microphone, and then turn both audio channels on in the switcher, and then clap your hands and listen to it in the headphones. And you will hear the two claps with the delay. And then you can adjust the delay until when you clap your hands, it sounds like one clap. And that's just, it's fast. It's, you don't need to like have any special tools. You just clap your hands, adjust the delay, clap again, adjust until you finally get it down to where you are hearing a single clap. So that's easy to do out in the field on the fly. You don't have to plan ahead for that really. So that's what I would recommend. Oh yeah, YoloLiv. This is a good tip. Matt is one of the admins for the new Discord server for YoloBox support. This is going to be a lot nicer than having to deal with Facebook for that. Let me dig up the link for that. I don't know how quickly I can do this, but I will try. If you have a YoloBox and you are not excited about Facebook, then join the Discord for YoloLiv community, and that's going to be a much easier way to chat with people. Here it is. YoloLiv Discord link. There we go. Yeah, cool. That I'm excited about that. Question from Marcus, 2 parts. I would like to send this sound from a Sennheiser EWD XLR to both a RØDECaster video and a separate mixer. Y cables are probably not recommended because of hum loops. I read about the Palmer PMSO2 splitter, which should solve the problem. Do you agree or have any other recommendations? I have not heard of the Palmer PMSO2. Let's see what that is. It is a little box passive mic splitter. It's got input, 2 outputs, 2 throughs, and an output. I mean, I'm sure this does its job fine. You want to send... The other thing is the... sometimes the microphones have 2 outputs, but that may not be the case on the EWD. This is... Sometimes they have like a line output and an XLR output. Let's see if that's the case with this one. Yeah, so you could do it that way. You could run the 1/4 inch out into the RØDECaster video and the XLR into a mixer. And then you can save having to buy that extra splitter. Otherwise, I'm sure that splitter is fine. IT Never Gets Old says, despite the lack of love for the YoloBox Pro in the context of the purchase today, I'm on the road with mine and it works just fine for most things. I'm very glad. Yeah. I mean, it works. It's just like as soon as you start doing too many things with it, you're going to hit the CPU limits of it. And the Ultra just has a more powerful CPU, but it definitely works. And for, you know, a couple cameras or whatever, it's going to be fine. Okay, let me, if you have a question, put a Q in front of your message. Otherwise, it's going to get lost in the chats here. Oh, Sennheiser recommends not to use both outputs at the same time. Okay, I didn't realize that. Try the splitter. Yeah, okay, so what is up? What is going on with gear in the new year? I wish I could talk more about the RØDECaster video updates, but they don't want me to go into too much detail about the updates to this. But so far, so good. I'm happy with how it's going, and I am very much looking forward to sharing it with you because there's a couple of things that were on my wish list that they have added. We're back to secrecy. I know it's that's the downside of beta testing is I either have to just not talk about it at all or talk about it and in vague terms. They at least said that they don't mind mentioning that there is beta testing. It's not out, so don't want people to get excited about the features that may or may not make the cut, right? But it's definitely, it's turning into, it will be able to handle the full stream like I want to do. So the thing I forgot to do on the New Year's stream was put my logo in the graphics, so I couldn't actually cut to my end screen. But that was my own fault. Hopefully you won't have to sit on the secret for 6 months. Oh my god, I hope not. They've been already pushing out firmware updates though, so I suspect it won't be 6 months. 6 months. They added companion support already, and that's live. So yeah, hopefully not 6 months. Here is a question. ATEM Extreme ISO, RØDECaster Pro 2, OBS, Mac M2 Studio. How can I get more gain from my Shure SM7B? Currently 65% on the RØDECaster 2. Yeah, compared to your live feed, I'm getting at least half the volume. If I remember correctly, that one is, I'm not an audio person. SM7B. What is, if I remember correctly, that one requires a bit of a gain boost. You know, I'm surprised that the RØDECaster doesn't let you boost the gain enough on that. I thought that was a common one people use with the RØDECaster Pro. But if not, you might need, what do they call it? CloudLifter. That one I know people use all the time. That is a little box that boosts the gain of microphones like that need it. That will probably give you what you need. Let me grab a link to that. Here is a BH CloudLifter. But yeah, I thought that the RØDECaster Pro would be able to push it enough. Andre agrees that the RØDECaster Pro should be able to handle it. The RØDECaster Pro 2 can get the gain. You don't need it, but the original RØDECaster Pro does need a booster. Okay, you've actually done that with those. Also, don't forget that there's two different settings in the RØDECaster. I don't have my RØDECaster Pro hooked up, but it's the same thing in the RØDECaster video. In the audio mixer, there's let's see, I need my XLR input. So there's a separate setting for gain versus the volume. So make sure that you are checking both those values. So this is they even have a preset on the RØDECaster video. I think this is in the RØDECaster Pro 2 also, but they have a preset for the SM7B, which defaults you to 55 dB gain versus, like, let's say like a dynamic mic, or the let's see, NT1 has only 30 dB gain. So there's that value, and that's separate from the volume here. So just make sure you're checking both of those. Peter says, is there a streamer device out there that pushes out 4K 60? 4K 60. I don't think the YoloBox does. I think the Blackmagic one does. 4K 60 is an awful lot. I would seriously question whether you actually need that in a live stream. I suspect that most people that are watching your stream will not actually notice if you are doing that. What I'm looking for is whether this one, so it does support 4K 60 input. I think it does streaming also. This is, do they not? I don't have it, so I don't have a way to actually test on the device. It definitely I think it does, because I can't remember where it is listed. Product specifics. Does anybody have this? This is the ATEM 4K Television Studio 4K 8, which has the streaming encoder built in. The web presenter might also do 4K. Let's see, web presenter 4K. That might also tell us. Webcam out goes to 4K 60. Video streaming standards, the web presenter does support 4K 60. So it is confirming. I didn't see this one in the ATEM. Interesting. Anyway, I think it does. So those are your options. Matt can tell me, but I think the YoloBox. Oh, the Ultra does do 4K 60. Okay, I thought it was limited to 30. I know there's some limits on the 4K in the Ultra, but the I think it's the ISO recording or something. Matt's confirming that they do have a preset for the SM7B. That's on the RØDECaster Pro 2. Great. Getting audio out of the RØDECaster Pro 2 into the ATEM is usually the point where the levels are too low. Oh, that's a good point. Double check that that's actually where your audio is becoming is dropping. Check the audio levels in the RØDECaster Pro with headphones and like on the audio meters and see if it's fine there and it's getting dropped into the ATEM. Then you have other things you can debug. Good question from Pat. This is going to be a rabbit hole. Can you describe how you're using the X32 with MADI to your constellation for me, looking for real world scenarios? Yeah. So, okay. This is so the constellation for me is the ATEM I use for this stream. It's the large ATEM from rack mounted ATEM, not 4K. But it's this big one. So I have 40 inputs, but the reason I got this, in addition to needing 40 inputs, because I have a lot of plugs on the desk, is because of the MADI feature. So the MADI feature provides, there's a port on the back. Let's see if I can show you the port this way. There's a port on the back, which is MADI out and MADI in. So what I have is I have the it's a SDI cable going from, I guess it's a coax cable going from MADI out to the audio mixer. And essentially what it does is it takes the first 32 audio channels, and each video channel has 2 audio channels because each of these is stereo. So the first 16 video ports have all those audio channels sent directly into the audio mixer, and then I split out as audio channels. So what that means is in the mixer, this is the software control for the mixer, almost everything except 2 microphones is actually digital audio coming from the ATEM. And what that means is like here's my hyperdeck. It's actually plugged into the ATEM, right? Here's an audio channel for the hyperdeck, or here's the patch panel on the desk. Here is the patch number 1, patch number 2. Here's the HyperDeck Mini. Here's my IP2110 receiver. Here's my computer audio. So probably the most obvious use case for this is my computer audio. The way that this is routed, my computer monitor is actually, my computer HDMI port is plugged into the ATEM, and my computer audio is set to Blackmagic. So my computer is sending out its system audio to the ATEM. Now, normally that means that if I wanted to hear that computer sound and it's only in the ATEM, if it were only in the ATEM, what I would have to do is go over to the ATEM audio and turn on the computer audio here, and then plug in speakers or a headphone somewhere out of the ATEM into so I can hear it. However, if my microphone is also on in the ATEM, my microphone audio will also be coming out the speakers, and I have to add a delay on my microphone to make it match the video delay. So I would be hearing myself with a little bit of an echo, plus it might also be causing feedback, and it'd be very annoying. So if I was only doing audio in the ATEM, essentially there's only one audio mix in the ATEM, and that means that I would be hearing myself in addition to the computer, or that would also be true for like if I'm playing back video clips on a HyperDeck or something. So that would be really frustrating. So what I actually want to do is I want multiple audio mixes. I want one mix that goes to the live stream. I want a separate mix that goes to my speakers. And the mix that goes to my speakers should be my computer audio, but maybe not the same volume that you're getting on the stream. So that's what I can do with the mixer. So all of my audio channels are muted in the ATEM except one, which is the MADI audio brought back in from the mixer. So, and then here's my computer audio. Here's the Apple TV. So when my computer makes a sound, it goes into the ATEM. The ATEM sends it over the MADI interface into the audio mixer, into this channel. And now it's as if it were plugged into the mixer with a normal cord. I can do anything I want with that audio channel. So I have a mix that goes back to the stream, which is this MADI, and I can turn that on and off. So I can send my computer audio out to the stream. But separately, I can have a monitor mix, which is what I hear on the speakers in the room. And I can leave this on. And now I hear my computer audio, but you don't hear it in the stream. Or I can turn off my microphone as I don't want to hear my microphone, right? If I turn this on, this is going to echo because now I'm hearing myself out of the speakers on a delay and you're hearing a delay. So that's what it would be like if it were in the ATEM, but now I can turn off the microphone for the monitor mix, but leave it on going to the live stream. So that's the main thing I do with it, but that applies to any of these other audio channels too, right? I also have a separate mix, which goes back to the audio interface plugged into the computer, so I can send a separate mix that's not the so I can make a separate mix that goes back to my computer for like Zoom calls, things like that. And I have other mixes I can do that I don't use, and so it's like I'm using just like a fraction of the features in here, but that's how I'm using it. Hopefully that made sense. Oh, I will also say that the RØDECaster video can do most of this all built in, which is amazing. So if you go to the audio mixer in the RØDECaster video, this is effectively doing the same thing. So there are ports on the back for 1/4 inch, which you can plug into speakers, and you can create a separate mix that goes to the live stream compared to what's going to your speakers or what is going to your headphones. So for the speakers, I would do the same thing with the RØDECaster video. I would do, instead of live mix, I would make a custom mix, and I would turn off my microphone. Let's say my microphone is coming in the combo jack, but I still want my computer audio, which would be coming in through HDMI. And now I can hear my computer audio. I can even turn it down. I can hear my computer audio, but not hear the microphone. So, and this is just like much simpler to, for whatever reason, this just is easier to use, I think. They did a good job with this. So it's, this is like a much simpler version. This is the other reason I'm thinking about switching over Lily's studio to this, because we don't have a way for her to listen to her stream audio right now. So because of the limits of the ATEM Mini Extreme, there's no MADI audio. We don't want a big mixer up there anyway. So right now, like when her countdown music is playing, or she has like video clips in the middle of the stream, or if she's using her computer and playing a video clip out of that, she can't hear it because she doesn't have headphones, doesn't want to listen to herself with a delay. Like, so she just doesn't get the audio. So now if I switch over to the RØDECaster video, I would go and make a monitor mix, put speakers in the room, and then drop all the volume of these so it's not going to be like super loud, but she'll be able to at least hear the sound of video clips being played back, or the sound buttons if we end up using those for something, and her computer audio or whatever, while muting her microphone. So that's super, super useful. This is much easier to get your head around compared to the X32 interface, I think. And it's amazing that they have that in the RØDECaster video. This weekly stream should be named Perecki's Rabbit Holes. That is a lot of audio channels. I can barely deal with 3 channels. Yeah. Okay, what did I miss in the chat while that was all happening? The X32 and the ATEM with MADI is a handful. It is. It's a lot. It's a lot. Gwen says, I sometimes put a zoom F3 between the mixer and switcher so I have more flexibility with sound. A lot of times the venue sound engineer can't or won't take the time to set up my sound. I agree with that. Yeah. Interesting question. Any chance Blackmagic would do a software update to let you change the output of each video channel from stereo to mono and change which 32 channels can be used? There is some flexibility. So if I go back, I left this out of my first description because it's even more confusing. But there's this whole routing section of if you take a look at the card, so there's no ATEM. So there's 32 channels that this card can take in. That's the card that's in the back of the mixer. If I go to the ATEM settings and go to audio, there is, where is it? It's not that. It's, I thought it was, I thought it was in the ATEM side. Is it in the mixer side? Setup. Card. It is in the yeah. Okay. So on the card setup, you can choose which 32. So there's actually 64 audio channels that the MADI interface can support, but there's only 32 channels in the mixer. So I can choose which of the 32 to actually pull into the mixer. And I have 1 to 32, which is video 1 through 16. Or I could change it to 33 to 64, which is the next chunk of, so 17 through 32 if I wanted to. But of course, I'm limited to 32 channels of audio. The same with the output. So I just have it set to 1 to 32. And then the other thing here is you can actually choose which, you don't need to have all 32 routed. I can actually change, like if I wanted to have only 8 inputs routed, I could do that as well. And that's where you can map the mixer channels to physical channels. So here I have the channels 1 through 8 are, oh, no, I'm actually not using that. I'm using it on the top end, right? So in my top channels, mixer channel 31 to 32 are actually mapped to XLR input 1 and 3 rather than the MADI channels. The rest of these get MADI channels. So I'm actually losing one of my video inputs in order to be able to use the microphones with the mixer. So I have 2 mics here that go straight into the mixer. And so I have 2 of my mixer channels set to microphones, and the rest are actually MADI. So you get some flexibility there, and it's a lot to get your head around to manage that mapping. All right. Let me go back to the chat. Bailey says, if you need to use the X32 for anything more than setup, use Mixing Station rather than the X32 app. Much more user-friendly. Oh, I've never even heard of that one. Good tip. I might have to check it out. Pat says, follow up on MADI. You can add additional audio sources, mics, to the mixer that goes back to the constellation. Yes. So if you don't need to pull audio from all of your video channels in the ATEM, you can do it the other way around, where any of your audio, you can map any of your 32 audio channels to microphones or other things that are plugged directly into the mixer. And then you just choose what is going back out to the ATEM. So if I go, oh yeah, so this is the output. So the card output, I'm really actually using 2 channels of that, because I'm only sending, one audio feedback to the ATEM. But I have all these other channels I could be sending to the ATEM. So I could do things like even create multiple mixes in the mixer that send them separately to the ATEM, but I don't know why I would do that. It sounds like even more complicated. But what I've done here is outputs uh, MADI output 1 and 2, which is going back to the ATEM, are being sent from the mix bus 5 and 6, which is this. So rather than the main mix of the mixer, I'm actually doing a submix that goes back to the ATEM, and that way, whatever I have on this mix bus is what gets sent back to the ATEM. So these don't have to be ATEM inputs; they could have also been analog inputs as well. So that was my point there. Audio routing is a lot to get your head around. Don't forget you have the aux section with another 6 channels, so you can bring card input into those to get your extra pair back. I don't even know why I would want to do that. This is a good question. In your studio, does audio pretty much end up being set it and forget it, or do you mess with it a lot? It is pretty much set it and forget it. So at this point, like, I haven't changed the config of the mixer in a long time. Now that I have it the way I want. I do toggle the mixes and a lot, but that's like mostly automated by the Stream Deck. So like I turn my mic on and off when the countdown music is running and things like that. I have a button to mute my mic. I have, do I have a button that I should have a button on the Stream Deck that mutes the various channels in the speakers in the room. So for my monitor mix, actually I might, yeah, I just haven't labeled them well, but I do have those buttons. So if I want to turn off the computer sounds on my speakers, I can do that. Those are the settings that I change normally, but I don't change the config very often because it's very complicated and I have to always like relearn how I set everything up whenever I go dive into it. So yeah, I mostly set it and forget it. Rich says, you said you had to lose one MADI input to use the XLR mics. You can bring MADI 16 to the aux channels if you need a 16th. Oh. MADI 16 to the aux channels. I'm going to have to think about that. Wow, okay. Well, I don't necessarily have if I ever need that 16th one, I will look that up. Pat, thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the MADI info. Hopefully that was helpful. Very generous. Thank you very much. Oh, Bailey just posted a photo of the mixing station layout in the audio page of the members Discord if you want to see what it can look like. Thanks for that. I will take a look later, and if you are on the members Discord, you should go take a look. Okay, where was I with the chat? Oh, hey, Matt says the update for the YoloBox Ultra is almost finished, which allows the YOLO deck to get the names for the channels. Oh, that's a relief. That was really annoying when I noticed that. If you renamed your video sources, the buttons on the YOLO deck didn't update, but they are fixing that. That is good news. It would appear this live session is geared toward more advanced users. I would appreciate feedback, but I was looking for more basic answers. Sorry. Okay, what was your question? Sometimes we're just all over the place. Okay, let me scroll back. Oh, right. Your question was about the low volume of the SM7B. And you had a follow-up. I'm also getting a hissing when listening to my live feed via my iPad. Yet when I place the headphones on the iPad, the hissing goes away. Also, RØDECaster Pro is plugged in via USB-C to Mac. Hissing when listening to the live feed, but you don't hear it with headphones? Hissing, like if you you mean your iPad speakers? That's that's confusing. I don't know what would be causing that. Are there any videos explaining the basics of plugging the gear I mentioned, plus showing the settings to apply each of the devices? OBS, RØDECaster Pro 2, ATEM Extreme, ISO. What are you doing with OBS in that case? Because that kind of depends. If you are I would think that's kind of an unusual combination to get the extreme ISO with OBS, just because um, I wouldn't stream from OBS if I was doing that combo. I would just stream from the ATEM. So yeah, I don't have a video like that. That's a good tip. Tom Buck might have a video just because he has done a lot of videos of the RØDECaster Pro. If you don't already know his channel, let me drop a link into his channel. I suspect he might have a demo of exactly plugging in RØDECaster Pro 2 and the ATEM Mini Extreme, because I know he has both of those. He also usually streams using Ecamm, which is more or less like OBS, so it's software streaming with webcam input from the ATEM. So just swap out OBS for Ecamm in his videos, but same idea other than that. Yeah, this was my question. Why don't you stream from the ATEM? What's the upside of using OBS? I am curious what you were doing with OBS in that case. Sam says, pros and cons of MADI versus Dante. I've never actually used Dante, so I only have a basic understanding of it. But the biggest difference is MADI is a single cable from one device to another. And so it can transmit multiple audio channels over that one cable, but it's point to point. So it's my ATEM is plugged into the audio mixer, and that's the end of that audio chain. With Dante, it's totally different. Essentially, the audio devices get exposed on your network, and then you can pull them into any device. So it's more like a audio router where I could, if my ATEM spoke Dante, then all of the audio channels would be available on the network, and I could take any Dante receiver and pull one or more channels out of the ATEM, and then do that in multiple locations. So I could have a it's like, instead of using an audio mixer, I could have like a Dante receiver that goes to speakers and then configure what channels get pulled into those speakers. I can have another one that goes to the streaming encoder. So it's like much more, I'm not explaining this well. It's just, instead of connecting two devices individually, it lets you make all those sources available on the network and then access them from any of the devices on the network. So a lot more flexible routing, I guess. Oh yeah, this is a good analogy. Dante is kind of like NDI. So that's another good example where HDMI cables or SDI cables are like, this camera is plugged into this switcher, the end of story. But with NDI, the camera just makes its video available on the network, and then anything can pull that video feed. So same with audio with Dante. If Blackmagic integrated Dante, it would be game changing for lots of different live streams and venues. It would. It's true. I think there's a way to do it where you can take the MADI output from the ATEM into some device that can turn it into Dante audio. But I don't remember what that device is. It's also probably very expensive. Okay, wow, lots of questions coming in. This is great. Make sure you put your the letter Q in front of your question, otherwise it's going to get lost in the chat. And I'm going to scroll back to the question feeds and see if I miss anything. IT never gets old from earlier. On the low end of things, do you think Blackmagic feels more pressure from things like the OC GoStream Duet, or from the YoloBox Director side of things? It's an interesting question. I would assume that Blackmagic does not consider Android-based switchers to be much of a direct competitor to the ATEM line, even the ATEM Mini. So I would think that they would be looking at the GoStream more and that line of alternative hardware switchers. In my opinion, the GoStream is the most stable and most reliable ATEM-like equivalent. There's a handful of other companies that have done clones of the ATEM Mini, and they're fine, but like the GoStream really has a lot of features that make it actually really useful, and it's pretty solid. Bailey says, I should be getting a new set of speakers today. Looking forward to them. Oh, that's fun. Okay, question from Mike. When using a computer to control the OBSBot talent, there's a username and password required. I changed the password but do not remember it. How do you reset it? Uh-oh. I'm guessing factory reset for the whole device. Otherwise, but I've never actually tried that. I would hope a factory reset works. I am not sure though. Cludford says, what are the chances of an updated ATEM Mini this year? It sure feels like we're due for one. It's been a long time. I guess the most recent ATEM Minis were the SDI versions, and that wasn't that long ago. Or was it? Now I actually don't remember. The ATEM SDI, it's straightforward. It's a SDI version of the ATEM Mini. The nice thing is they give you two SDI outs on the small one instead of one HDMI out on the small one. But nothing really groundbreaking different about the two. It's just an SDI version. I don't know what I would expect from an updated ATEM Mini. Frankly, because these, like the ATEMs have worked the same way forever. They just have gotten better, bigger, better, built-in scalers. But fundamentally, they're like the same, right? They're all the same. They do the same set of features, especially now with these bigger ones getting the streaming and recording encoders built in. So, like, I wouldn't really expect them to start pulling features from this, like the built-in streaming bridges, into the ATEM Minis. That seems like not a lot of point for them to do that. Plus, it might be hard. So I don't know. I don't know what I would expect from an update. Probably not going to see a 4K ATEM Mini just because it's just a heat issue at that point. So like they have the 4K 8, but they don't even have the ISO version of that because it's just too much data. There's like minor quality of life improvements I would like to see from the ATEM, but frankly, the GoStream has done most of them. So I don't know if that's really worth Blackmagic playing catch up by porting all the features that the GoStream did into the ATEM. I think the RØDECaster video is a solid competitor to the ATEM, and Blackmagic should really be concerned about this because this really does pack in a lot of the features that you're missing from the ATEM in a mostly hardware solution. So, oops, 2025 is the year of the Sting button. Yeah, exactly. Mix minus would be a really good feature for them to add. There's like I said, there's a lot of small updates they could do for the ATEM Mini that would make it more useful. But I think yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would actually expect them to do that. Okay. Oh my gosh, lots of chats. Razor Baby Media Creation. I'm running a Director Mini. What's the best way to bring in a podcast guest using SRT Listener, or your best suggestion? Did anybody reply in the chat already? Now I'm behind. Plus, oh, your follow-up was plus having the guests see the host's podcast side. So this is like, unless your video switcher has a remote guest feature built in, it's always going to take several extra components to make this work. So Ecamm has a remote guest feature built in. I think vMix does also, but But yeah, like the ATEM or the RØDECaster video or the Director Mini, which don't have, oh, the YoloBox has the remote guest feature, but like the Director Mini, ATEM, RØDECaster video don't have any features for that. And if you're going to want to bring in a remote guest that way, you need to kind of do it in a totally separate system and bring that video feed into the switcher. So the easiest way I've found at this point is Zoom ISO, which is used to be third-party software, but now they are part of Zoom. And there's a trick to getting the license for this that is not as expensive as what you find on the website. They tell you it here. Where is it? It's in. No, it's on the Zoom page. The trick for getting the license is to get a Zoom events license. Nil says it's on the start page. Oh, is it? Where's the start? It's not the download page. Oh, there it is. On the main page. Liminal apps are now included in the Zoom events platform. So if you go to Zoom events, the trick is to get the pay per attendee option instead of monthly subscription. Pay per attendee, and no, Zoom events, pay per attendee, $140 for the year. And that way, and that's a lot cheaper than the monthly fee for here. Anyway, once you do this, what you do is you start your Zoom call from Zoom ISO, from the app, and then as far as the guest is concerned, they're just in Zoom, but you can output that video feed of the guest, like the individual guest feed, not like a screen capture. You can output it a bunch of different ways. So it has NDI output. It can talk to a little dongle card, outputting HDMI or SDI into your switcher, and that will work with any switcher then. And then as long as your switcher is connected as a webcam back into Zoom, you can send the guest your program feed. So, or just your host feed if you don't want them to see the whole program. And that makes it very seamless for the guest, and also pretty seamless for you because you get to treat them as if they were a local video source in your switcher. So if you're doing something with the Director Mini, or ATEM or RØDECaster video, I would do it with Zoom ISO and not mess with SRT links back and forth. It's just going to be simpler for everybody if you're doing Zoom. Also, your guest can just join with a laptop or a phone or anything, fancy camera or not, and like it doesn't matter. But if you have a YoloBox, then you have the remote guest feature in the YoloBox, which is easier because it's just invite them with a link, share a link, and they join in a browser. Matt says the whole reason I got the Ultra was for the remote guest, and they finally fixed the audio problem with it, and now there's the mix minus works properly. Zoom events also requires Zoom Pro, so add an additional $16 a month to the cost. Oh yes, I keep forgetting that. I just assume that you are already using Zoom, but yes, you're correct. You have to have a regular Zoom like paid account, and then you can add Zoom events to that. So I already have a Zoom account just because I use Zoom. So the extra cost was just the Zoom events pay per seat. Do you need a guest return with video? A lot of mainstream TV just send the program output back. Yeah, I think that sending the program feed back to the guest is nice because it lets them know when they're on the air and not. So like when you're done with the interview, you can say, thanks for joining us, back to our show. And then like they will see that they are no longer on air, and then they know they can like relax and leave. and not be smiling at the camera quietly while you're saying goodbye. ATEM Mini features video playback. Yeah, that's another thing. Like the Ghost Stream has video playback, so I feel like anything that Blackmagic does with the ATEM Mini is going to be catching up to the Ghost Stream. Axis Production says, is Speedify any good, or is there another better bonding software? There's lots of different options for bonding. Speedify works. It's definitely one of the most affordable options and pretty flexible, and you can install it on lots of different hardware, which is nice. There might even be special integration with Speedify coming to a device that I often talk about soon, but I can't say which one. But I think it's a good option. There are a lot more expensive options that are probably more reliable or just work differently. One of them is actually the KiloView. It's not necessarily a bonding software, but this encoder will do this. You can put in like 3 SIMs into this, give it Ethernet, Wi-Fi, so it can bond all those connections and stream a video stream. It doesn't give you a raw network connection like Speedify, but it does stream a video stream back to your server. I'm still working on setting that up, so hopefully we'll have a demo of that soon. Then there's like LiveView and stuff, but I think Speedify is a good option for how cheap it is, because it's just very easy to get started with it. Gwen says, I like using Zoom for remote guests because most folks are familiar with it, so I don't need to spend as much time hand-holding. Exactly, yes, I agree. This is, I think, sending people a Zoom link, people are not surprised by Zoom at this point, and it's a lot simpler than telling them how to configure some sort of SRT encoder or whatever. Oh, back on the audio mixer topic, the Behringer Wing rack, you can add both a Dante and a MADI module. I thought it was still only one slot. That's really cool though. You could convert your MADI to Dante that way. I might have to play with that. Oh, great question. Michael says, if I want to switch cameras in Companion at random intervals, is there a way to do it not using macros, but with steps within Companion? I was just trying to think about this yesterday. I was on a call with someone who wanted some advice setting up a really interesting situation, which is at a bunch of different car shops, setting up cameras that are like fixed cameras to look at like the bay where they're working on the cars, and then stream from like 10 different shops to headquarters, and then auto switch between the different locations and publish a live stream, but all like automated, all hands off. And I was thinking, how would you automate that in Companion? And if I remember correctly, the macros in the ATEM do... Yeah, there's a repeat option. So if you have a macro that does just cycling between cameras every 10 seconds or whatever, and you click the repeat button here and run it, it'll just go on a loop. But if you don't do it as a macro, the question was, can you do it in Companion? And I think the answer is yes. But I haven't actually set it up yet. I'm thinking you would do it with a trigger. Which, oh, this is interesting. I didn't realize this was in Companion. That's funny. I thought I'm going to delete that because that really should be in Home Assistant, not in Companion. It turns off my lights at 9 p.m. every day. And what was this one? This was a countdown. Oh, right. Pressing the 10-second countdown at the top of every hour for New Year's Eve last year. That's really funny. That was kind of cool. Okay, so how would we do a auto switch? Because if you do buttons, The problem is wanting to do it infinitely, because you can add like you can add multiple, right? You can do like multiple camera switches this way with delays. So I could do like 10,000, 10 seconds. And if I push the button, then it'll, you know, start cycling through the cameras just as one step. But I don't know how I would make it. Oh, I guess you could do at the end of this, you could do internal button press after another 10 seconds and relative delays. And now at the end of this, it'll press itself. So that would work. So you just do it all as one, it's all one step. You just have your delays programmed in here with the different cameras. And then at the end of this, it will push itself. So oh, your question was, can you vary the times before the camera switch so it's random? I think you can use... Can you set delays based on a variable? No, because this is just a hard-coded value. There's places where you can use variables, and then... but it's not there. So... yeah, if you could use a variable here, you could change the variable randomly, but I don't see a way to use the variable here, so I don't think so. I don't see a way to do it. Does anybody else have any ideas? Yeah, I think there's a random number generator function, but I don't see a way to use that value as a delay to randomly set the delay. Triggers might be the way to go for random, infinite loop and random intervals. Possibly. So with triggers, you can do on... So you could do a condition. If you can make a variable, I think that, okay, I think there's a... Make a trigger that waits for a variable, a condition to become true. And then how would I randomize setting that variable? You need to... Random is not a thing that... Is there a random action? No. Variable. Set raw value, set with expression. This might work. I feel like that's supposed to be a link, and it's not. So if there's an expression that I can use, a random function in here, then pushing this button could set that value, and then I could automate pushing this button every minute, and it would randomly set it to push another button. Then this button could be... we could do program input and then create different steps where each step advances the camera. So if we have a button that cycles through the cameras every time you push it, then if we can randomize when this button gets pushed, then we can we can push it at random. So this is a camera cycle. This is... I really should be doing this on a new page. This is a fun rabbit hole. Okay, here is camera cycle. Here is, I'm going to delete these. This is randomly set variable. I need to make a custom variable called trigger camera change, and we're going to have it start at 0. So this is going to be, we make a trigger that runs every minute, and it's going to run every, I could even do every second. And it's going to be a button press. It's going to be I need to find that button. It is this 9812. Every second we're going to push 9812. Okay, so this is being pushed every second, and what we can do is make an expression which is setting this variable to true only 1% of the time, let's say. So I need to look up the expression language that this uses, which I swear this should be a doc link. Companion. Let's see if there's docs on this. Can I run operators? Is there a random function? Functions. Here we go. Please be random. Random int. Great. So we can run this and say between 0 and 10 expressions I think I can just do that. So this is going to set the value to 1. Let's put the variable here. Every 1 in 10 let's increase the odds of that. Oh, it worked. Look at that. It randomly changed to 1. So every second this button is being pressed, and 10% of the time it's going to match 1, in which case it will set the value of the variable to 1. If that variable is, this is trigger camera change. If, oh my gosh, where's the, if the custom variable is, oh, I don't want to compare two variables. I want check the value of camera change. If that value is 1, then we're going to press the other button, which is button 9811. Have I lost everyone? Let's turn that on. Oh wait, that's going to actually do it. I need to make this button do something that isn't going to break my stream. what if I made a super source box 3 show up somewhere on the stream? Let's move it down there. And then in companion, I can make this button, instead of program input, I can say super source set box source, and we can change that between Apple TV. I guess I'm going to delete these and clone this and change it to, let's see, what's another one? My computer. Let's clone that to Apple TV computer. Let's make that my camera, overhead camera. And the fourth one will be my main camera. No, let's make it the wall camera. Great. So every time I push this, we should cycle through. Oops, that's the wrong box. Should have been box 3. Box 3. Box 3. Box 3. And let's put that back so you can see what I'm doing. Box 1 is the... where's my computer? Okay, there it is. So now as I press that button, it should cycle that box through. Oops. Computer, Apple TV, computer. Why didn't that change? Overhead. There we go. So as I push that button, it is cycling that little box. And can we have cats in the box? I don't, are they asleep? Are they in the right spot on the cat cam? I'm not actually sure. Okay, so I'm pushing that. Now, this button's being pushed every second. It 1/10 of the time triggers that variable. There's a trigger on that variable, which will push the camera cycle button. And if I turn that on, then no hands. This should 1/10 of the time, every 10 seconds approximately, but it's random. It's going to push that button, which cycles the camera. And now I think this is working. So it's set to be at 10 seconds on average. So may not be every 10 seconds exactly. That might be too. Let's up the frequency. So let's say randomly set variable. Let's say if it's less than, oh, it just did it. I saw it. Let's say if it's less than, this is 50% now. So now 50% of the time it's setting, oh, I should probably make the trigger also reset that back to 0. This is totally working though. I should go on this. I should set this action. Set raw value, trigger camera change back to 0. So now as soon as it becomes 1, which happens now 50% of the time, it's going to set it immediately back to 0. So now we don't even see it here because it happens so fast. I could make that, I could delay this by 100 milliseconds just so we can see it. There we go. So now it's pushing it. Yeah, it's working. And then here is where you change your stats. So this is too much. This is every 50% of the time. So if you wanted this to be 10% of the time, you could do that. If you could do this, and now it's 1% of the time, which is barely any. But it's so yeah. Now you can treat this as a percent and be like, oh, 20% of the time. What are you doing says, you can put that in a button with the function I mentioned earlier if you don't want to use triggers. I'm sure there's a bunch of different ways to do it. This way makes sense in my head. I don't... but there's usually several different ways you can rig these things up. It's kind of fun. Cool. Excellent question, and now we know how to do that. Thanks for the super chat. Very subtle PK1 commercial. Yeah, it's my screensaver for the Apple TV. That was fun. Emerald says, I ordered a wing rack for the reason of more channels than the X32 and the ability to have both Dante and MADI. Internal slot takes Dante or Waves Mulcher. That sounds really cool. I don't need to upgrade mine. But this 48 channel mixer, yeah, does look like a very cool, very cool mixer. Oh yeah, and it's full stereo mixer, so it doesn't, you don't have to like combine your channels. That's a lot nicer to work with, in my opinion. I mean, this looks like fun. Do I need to upgrade my mixer? Absolutely not. It's already complicated enough. But it would be very cool. There's the expansion slot. So you get a Dante card. They said they're planning expansion cards for MADI. Oh, they have a Dante module for the internal, but they don't have the MADI card yet. So I am not going to even bother until that is out. Gwen says DJF is thinking about getting a wing. He did a stream a few days ago on rebuilding his rack. That does sound like fun. What software am I using to live stream? I am not using software. I'm using my ATEM. So the workflow is basically the ATEM's down on the rack down below. You can't see it. All the cameras get routed into there, and then that. Actually, I'm not using the web presenter today. It's actually going from the big ATEM into the ATEM SDI, which is also in the rack. That's what's actually pushing the stream out. But everything is switched in hardware. So the only thing I'm using the computer for is my computer is running OBS, and this is the extent of how I like to use OBS. It is a browser source, and the browser source is where the chats show up, and that OBS outputs using the DeckLink card, which is actually not a DeckLink, it's an Ultra Studio 4K, which is this one. So when I show a chat, then this device gets the OBS output, and that outputs over SDI into the ATEM, where I can then show it on the stream. So that's the only thing I'm using the computer for. Well, and obviously pasting links into YouTube. How is the thermal situation? Running in winter mode without a fan. Yeah, so in winter, I actually have not had to turn off the HyperDecks, and this fan is sufficient. All the heat is getting blown out this hole. I need to make it bigger, because in the summer, I need a larger exhaust port, but that means I have to take everything out of here and get my saw out and chop it up, which I'm just not, definitely don't want to do it in the winter when it's freezing outside. But in the winter, I can leave these on because they generate heat, but essentially I don't have the main heater on in this room. It's up in the corner. I don't have that on, and this rack keeps this room warm. Like, it's a very comfortable 70 Fahrenheit. What is that? 21 Celsius. And I do have the window open back there because it actually gets too warm if I don't. So, it's, yeah, a lot of heat. You said it looks like something out of NASA. It's been a long time in the works, but yes, it does. It's a little bit out of control. I'm still very happy with these little things I built for you rack box with a little space underneath to shove extra things or cables. And that's helped tidy things up a lot because I can run these little short cables out to gear I'm testing on the desk here, which is how I've been making all the videos about them. And it's a lot faster to do that than rewiring all of my cameras. The back window opens and then there goes the TV. Well, that is, I mean, that happened. There was a windstorm last week or the week or two ago, and the gust of wind was big enough to blow that TV over, and it just fell on top of that PTZ camera, and somehow the TV didn't break. Mike says, I'm trying to avoid OBS with my RØDECaster video. Last night, played with bringing in social streams from a second Mac connected to RØDECaster wirelessly with an Apple TV. It worked well, no OBS. Love it. Yes. The Apple TV trick is a great trick. I will say the one thing to keep in mind is if your link is wireless, the picture that gets sent over to the Apple TV is compressed a little bit, and you can get compression artifacts in the graphics. So better to have everything wired so that you have good bandwidth between your computer and the Apple TV. But yeah, totally works. The compression artifacts aren't even that bad, but it can mess with the keying sometimes. Time to mount the TV to the wall. The problem is it's actually blocking the window, so I can't open the window without like reaching over the TV. I don't know, it's weird. I could also just sacrifice the window. I get a larger TV so it fills the entire frame and like covers that gap so you don't even see that, and it would just look like, if this is a 42, if I got like a 55-inch TV, it would just fill that entire corner of the screen, which might be kind of fun. Sam says, just noticed you have a RØDECaster video. Been trying to buy one for a month. Can't find them available anywhere. Oh, really? Have they run out of all their stock? I haven't looked for one in a while, but I didn't realize they were running out. I guess it was. Oh, B&H has it in stock. It looks like they have it in stock anyway. I don't know why my link is not showing up. Where is it? Huh. I'll have to make a link for that. Yeah, it looks like it's in stock at B&H. I'll drop a link in the chat. Ah. You can mount the TV on a swing arm, but then it's not going to be up against the wall because it'll like sit a few inches out. Thomann has them in stock in Europe. Oh, that's good to know. I should really get an affiliate link set up for them. Oh, you can use the 32 MADI card for the X32 in the wing. The new card is a 64-channel MADI card. Ah, interesting. Okay. I don't need to redo my audio setup. Plus, that's $1,600. Oh my God! Speaking of, that just reminded me. Somebody bought a what looked like a whole bunch of OBSBot cameras with an affiliate link. When people use my OBSBot affiliate link, I get an email saying, "Hey, congrats on the conversion, and here's like the purchase amount, and here's your payout." Let me see if I can find one. So it was so yeah, it's nice. It's here is an example. total sales $250, total commission $20. So I get $20 if someone buys $250 at OpSpot. It's great. Like affiliate links are honestly a huge amount of how a lot of the creators make money from their channel. And I got it's right down here. I got this email and I was like, thanks. Total sales $45,000, total commission $3,600. I was like, is this real? This is incredible. And you first get an email saying there was a conversion, and then a month later you get this approved email. So I was like, for the whole month, I was like, is this real? Is it actually gonna come through? And I got this email saying it was approved, and I was like, okay, I guess that's real. $3,600, fantastic. And I was like, this can't be real. Who buys $45,000 of OpSpot cameras? So I went and actually logged into the dashboard, the CAPTCHA on the login page. I actually logged into the affiliate dashboard to see there if it was real. And let's see, where's my conversions tab? And it is in fact real. However, the $45,000 was not dollars. It was Japanese yen, which is significantly less than $45,000. But the email that I got had a dollar sign there, not a yen sign. So they definitely have a bug in their conversion software. Oops. So I got 3,600 yen, which is like $20 or something. So a normal amount. Thanks, but sadly not enough to buy a new audio mixer. Oh well. It was a brief moment of yeah. Did I know about the brouhaha around honey? Yeah, so okay, this is like, I thought everybody knew this, but apparently not, and now it's like a bunch of YouTubers are talking about it. I just thought this was normal, that everyone knew how it worked, but if you install the honey extension in your browser, then the honey extension will rewrite the affiliate links on the websites you're on into their own affiliate link, and then like pay you out a portion of what would have been an affiliate sale to the website. And there's a couple other extensions that do this. There's also like, it's a very old, it's not exactly a scam because it is doing what it promises to the user, which is pays them back, but they're called cashback sites. So like if you are going to go make a purchase of $1,000, and you can go to a cashback site, sign up, click their affiliate link, which they get the affiliate money from the website you bought from, and then they pay you out a portion of it. And this is like as old as affiliate links online. Like this has been around for ages. The new thing is like now it's a browser extension where it happens like automatically. Also not terribly new. It's been around for a long time, but that's how it works. And it's absolutely against the terms of service of most affiliate programs, including Amazon's, which I checked and found the language that says it's not allowed. So I don't know how Amazon hasn't shut them down before. If I tried to do this on like a website I run, I'm sure Amazon would crack down on this. So anyway, not allowed, and somehow it's just well accepted. So I'm glad it's blowing up now. Okay, back on topic. You can ask your buddy if he wants to sell the 100, what was that, 100 and something inch. It was huge. It would be, it literally is the size of this wall. It would be the entire wall. I'm sure it also generates a lot of heat. Matthias says, I have a MacBook Air M1, only supports one external monitor. Is there a way to add another video output that can go into the ATEM? So if I remember correctly, what are you actually trying to do here? Because if you are trying to use a second monitor like in person and your laptop screen and then send that to the ATEM, you can do that with either a monitor that has a pass-through. Some of them have pass-throughs. It's usually not like a regular computer monitor, but like this one has one. This little 10-inch that I have here has inputs and outputs. So on the bottom there's like, oh no, sorry, this one doesn't. Yes, it does. HDMI in, HDMI out. I was thinking of the other one that's SDI. So this one has an HDMI out, so I could send this out to, if this was my computer monitor, I could send from my computer into the input, output into the ATEM, and the ATEM would get a copy of that screen. Some of the tiny on-camera monitors do that too, but those are probably too small for you. The other way could, a splitter could work. Sometimes they're finicky with monitors and the ATEMs, so it's not necessarily always possible. What I'm doing here is I have a Mac Mini, which is, I don't think limited to one, but I only have one monitor connected. The Mac Mini outputs to it's in my other container. The Mac Mini actually outputs HDMI to the HDMI SDI converter, which has a pass-through. So I'm seeing my computer monitor here, but that's actually not coming from the computer. That's coming from that little splitter. So it sends an HDMI version here and an SDI version to the ATEM. Oh, okay. You have follow-up. I don't want to pass through. I want a separate screen to run H2R graphics. Okay, so I would actually recommend going a totally different route with this then, which is using OBS and the Blackmagic Mini monitor. So that is essentially what I'm doing here. Because like I have one monitor, computer monitor, but I run OBS and I get the chat overlay, which could also be H2R graphics. So what that is Ultra Studio 3G. It is the tiny one. You don't need the giant ones for this. You just need the tiny one. Where is it? This one. So this little box, it is not a monitor output. It is like the computer does not see it as a monitor. It's just like a video device to the computer. But you plug this in with Thunderbolt. So you need a Thunderbolt connection to your Mac somehow. And it gives you HDMI out. And this is then what OBS talks to. So OBS, you go into your deck link output here, which is after you install the Blackmagic video drivers, then you choose that device. So I have the Ultra Studio 4K Mini, which is a rack mount version of it, but it works the same with the little tiny one also. And that's actually what Lily does with her stream upstairs, because she uses chat the same way that I do. Just a web page output into the HDMI. So that's what I would recommend. The nice thing is that if what you're trying to do is graphics, like you're saying H2R graphics, you actually don't want it to work like a monitor, right? You don't want your mouse to be able to go wander over there. You don't want Windows like apps to be popping up on that second monitor ever. You just want it for the graphics. So using that Blackmagic Ultra Studio monitor completely isolates it, and it is not a monitor output from your computer, so it doesn't count against your monitor outputs from your Mac, and you won't be able to drag Windows over there and mess it up. So it's a lot more stable that way. I would definitely do it that way. Yeah. A lot of chats about the monitor limits, but that's not, I think, super relevant. Because you don't want it to work like a monitor if you're trying to make it work with graphics. Okay, where was I? We are crossing the 90-minute mark, so we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. See if there's any other chats I can get to. Oh, let me scroll back up a little bit. Oh, new question just popped in from Great Things Studios. Any plugins that allow for video files audio on the ATEM Mini Extreme, something that detects signals from the audio mixer for PC? No, but for Mac or iPad, there is a feature that does exactly this. It is in the app called Mix Effect, and I have a video about this. Let me try to find the link. I would... Why is it not... Did I not put it in the title? Interesting. Right, because it's actually in this video. This is auto switching ATEM. So this video is a comparison of doing the auto switching with an ATEM and the RØDECaster video. The RØDECaster video has it built in. The ATEM does not, but there's a separate app you can get on for an iPad. You can run it on a Mac also, but I would just run it on an iPad, which is it's called Mix Effect. It's a full controller for the ATEM. It can control everything in the ATEM and more that you can do on the software control. But it has that feature where it monitors the audio channels of whatever audio sources you set up, and then it can trigger switching to those cameras, and it works really well. So, it's worth getting an iPad just to run that. Like, don't think of it as now you're like getting into the iPad ecosystem or whatever. Just get it for that app. It works well. Cool. Okay. Finding older questions. Sam says, would streaming from OBS rather than ATEM give you more options to add graphics and overlays, especially if you're pushed for inputs? Yes. But I prefer to do it the other way around, where I do all my graphics in OBS and then output that to the ATEM. If you're in an ATEM, if you're in a ATEM, I guess you can do it in ATEM Mini. It's just that to do the graphics with like proper transparency around the edges, if you want actual like translucent graphics, you need a separate alpha channel, which is a second video output from your computer. So the small little Ultra Studio only has one output, one channel out. But if you go to, I think the Mini has. We need to go to the tech specs section. This should have both. Yeah. So this gives you two outputs, SDI out, and this gives you the graphics. And I forgot the thing is still auto switching. This gives you the graphics out and the alpha channel. So you take two outputs into your video switcher, and then you get solid, good graphics with alpha channels. I prefer doing it that way rather than bringing the video stream into OBS and then layering and then having OBS do the encoding. I would rather have the ATEM do the final encoding. So that's my preferred setup. Eric says, for you or anybody else with the AV cans, PTZ cam, how's it going? Is it still performing well? Oh, I haven't even like shown it on the stream today. This is that camera. It's the PTZ camera. They sent me this randomly the same day I had been asking about, or found that on Amazon. So that was convenient, but it's cool. It still works. I have a little Stream Deck buttons to control it. I think it looks decent. It's definitely not as high quality as the BGH cameras, but I think it's fine. Certainly for the price. It's like $300 or something, which is kind of unheard of for a PTZ camera. Michael says, I see Companion has a mix effect plugin now. Have you tried it? Oh yeah, that's the other thing about mix effect is Companion can now control mix effect, which is useful for, because there's a couple things that mix effect does that the ATEM integration in Companion doesn't have. So I haven't really found that I needed that yet, so I don't really have it set up. I've tried it just a couple of times to test, but I haven't really found like I've needed it. If you were in my position, would you sell your ATEM Extreme ISO and purchase the new Rode gear? What is your position? Let me see if there's other things in the chat. Oh, you're using the RØDECaster Pro 2. Let's see. This was, what else? We had the iPad audio problem. Oh yeah, and you're using OBS for the stream. I think if you are relatively new to streaming, I think you're going to find that the RØDECaster is easier to use than the ATEM Mini Extreme. So it depends on how much you can get for the ATEM Mini Extreme. But the RØDECaster Video is definitely easier to use than the ATEM. So if you're struggling with things, if you're finding yourself like not understanding how overlays or keying and things work with or how to do custom layouts and things, if you're struggling with that with the ATEM, I think you will be better off with the RØDECaster Video. It is just easier to manage that kind of stuff. Bowles Promo says, are you familiar with Wirecast? My competitor uses it and has replay function. I'm hoping to have replay with something. I have not used Wirecast since 2015, which is a very long time ago. And first thing I did with it was try to record a conference at my office. And it worked fine with, I plugged in, I don't even remember what it was, some camera with a capture card, and it was fine. Then I plugged in a USB webcam, and the entire computer ground to a halt, and it was terrible. Everything was lagging, the audio didn't match up, and that kind of was where I was like, I guess I need to do this in hardware, and that sent me down the route of finding the ATEM switchers, way before the ATEM Mini. I'm sure it's different now. I'm sure it's better. Computers are a lot better now, but I still prefer doing everything in hardware. The replay function is, though, the challenge. Mike says, I bought and returned 2 switchers, Roland and RGB Link, then bought the RØDECaster Video. Works better audio alone. I mean, the audio features in the RØDECaster Video are by far better than any other video switcher, for sure. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so much stuff in the chat. Oh, I'm talking about Lily's live stream. What is her channel? I should drop her channel in the chat. She's also been doing weekly live streams for a long time about economics and donuts. Let's see, what's her, and now planners also. Lots of different topics. It's always fun, and the cats usually make an appearance too. But yeah, her setup is, I did a video about her setup, actually. Let me go find that. Was relatively recent, I think. It is, I did a tour of her setup because I wanted to capture it in case I replaced it with a RØDECaster Video and just like be able to go back and revisit that. So I dropped a link to that in the chat. It is where's the I go through everything that's like mounted to the pole. It's all mounted on one pole, which I'm also really happy about. So it doesn't take up that much room in the space. There's there it is. So that's everything she's looking at. Main camera there, overhead camera, a light for the table in front of her, monitor so she can see what's going on, main light, audio mic over here, and then the rack of gear is actually behind, which is this little rack. And the ATEM fits perfectly in that top shelf. Look at that. Look how perfect that is. And that's on a PK1 stand to tilt it so that the ports are accessible and not blocked by the edge of that shelf. And below that is where there's the HyperDeck for video playback, the audio interface. And this is like, this would all collapse down into the RØDECaster video. So that's why I'm excited about the idea of replacing her studio with a RØDECaster video. I think once we move into her new office, I'm going to do it. I'm gonna have to buy one because I'm going to keep this one here for demos. But I think I'm not going to move that rack into the new studio, and she's going to get a whole new rig. So. Is the inability for the RØDECaster video to key a video source a deal breaker for anyone? Well, you can key video sources, you just can't use them as overlays, but you can create scenes with keyed video sources. So that's how I was able to do the chat. And I can still do the chat with the RØDECaster video. I just put a green screen behind the web page and then key it out in the RØDECaster. But right now you can't use a video source as an overlay. You can only use it in a scene. So it's a little awkward. I hope they change that. We'll see. Blackmagic still needs to make an ATEM Mini hybrid with 2 HDMI and 8 SDI. I agree. They really need a combo. It's just so common to want to mix those, and the converters are just really, or they need to make a box that's like a multiple converters, because I just hate having to run little USB powers to each of the converters and like figure out how to stack them, and yeah, that's just annoying. Matthias says, I wonder how I can bring Zoom chat into my stream. I would probably just go look at this social stream site, and they support tons of platforms, and then you can get the chat into a web page and just do it the same way. I would probably do it that way. Mother B says, it's the same thing with my kitchen studio. If it's winter, no need for heater due to all the lights and gadgets, but during the summer it's too hot. But I can't open the windows and doors. Yeah. Does a splitter need to be powered? Not all of them do. Some of them can use power from the HDMI, but then you may end up with that. It may not be powerful enough to work with all the things you're plugging into it. And it's like, it's such a mess of, you have to just try, like just test it and see if it works, because there's no way to guarantee it's going to work at all. So if you find one that's powered, it'll probably work better than an unpowered one, but an unpowered one might work. It just depends on what you're plugging in on all the different connections. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, lots of stuff happening in the chat. Social Stream works really well. Yeah. It saves me the trouble of having to redo my Chrome extension for all the different platforms. All right. I think we're going to wrap this up here. As soon as the MacBook Air gets the M4, I will be all M4 in the office. iPad Pro M4 is so overkill. All right. Oh, Motherbeast says, do you think the RØDECaster video is better for me than the Blackmagic Extreme? I can't remember exactly how many things you have connected to it, but it very well might be. I'd have to I would have to go back through our old video from a couple of years ago where I was at your studio. Definitely take a look at all the videos I've done about the RØDECaster, because I've gone through setting it up for a couple different situations now, of like filming conferences or a small studio, and take a look at that and look through and see what you think about how it works. Because my goal with making those is to like show actually how to set it up in a real situation, not just talking about the features. So, but I really do think that they did a really good job with it, and it's exactly what small studios, like one-person studios, need. It's just a lot easier to manage than stuff with an ATEM. Nobody needs flying boxes, but we all want them. I don't even remember what this was in reference to. Okay. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. 116 minutes. We've been going for almost 2 hours. Always fun. Happy New Year, everybody. We are going to wrap this up and be back again next week. So thanks to everybody for joining. Thanks to the Extreme supporters, Larry and Kevin and Marcin. And thanks to all the other channel supporters as well. A reminder, if you are a member of the channel, go click the link down below to find the Discord link to the members only Discord and join there. We can keep chatting throughout the week. It's always fun to keep in touch there. This week, probably not much gonna happen because I have to go to my first work trip of the year already. First week back at work, but I'll be back here next week, same time, same place, to continue chatting about whatever it is we chat about. Oh yes, and 9 minutes until Curtis Judd's stream. Let me find his channel if you want to go visit, learn way more about audio. He is the audio expert. Definitely not me. Let's see, where is his? Here it is. He's got 7 minutes till he goes live. So if you want to keep immersing yourself in live streaming topics, go visit his channel. See you all same time, same place next week. Have a good week, and